bringing you the latest news from Monterey Athletics. This is the Plainsman Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back in. We are in the high school fan zone again, still. I don't know how else to say that. I promised we'd be back. We're back, and Josh Davis is with us from Monterey. We're going to talk Monterey Plainsman basketball. I need to actually talk to his counterpart at Monterey to see. I know that nothing's been decided officially. I know the win the other night for the Monterey girls got them in pretty good position for the playoffs, which the boys also took that step by beating Lubbock Cooper. But we're getting close to the playoffs for the girls. You're a Monterey graduate, so you had a vested interest in the girls' playoffs last year. Whether you were coaching or not, you got to see Aaliyah Chavez and Ambrosia Cole and R.A. Johnson and the legend Jill Snyder make a little history. Just real quick, what's it been like to coach with Chelsea this year because you went to high school when Jill was there, so Jill was all you've known.
It is.
Chelsea's a little bit different.
It is. Well, it's been good to, a lot of the things I went to Jill for my first year, questions or handling things, and some of the advice that she gave me, I've been able to kind of give to Chelsea now in the same kind of turn of being a first-year head coach and stepping into that. And so she's come by the office plenty of times or texted or called and asked some questions or how things work together. Doing things us saying the girls, we're playing district games or practicing and things like that, or maybe special nights, senior night and things like that. So, but it's been nice to. It switched on me pretty quick to go from the young coach to the old coach.
But it's you're been like nice the older statesman now.
Yeah, it happened in about 20 minutes over the summer, but it's been nice to be in that spot and be able to benefit somebody else the way I received it a couple years ago.
You and Simon, I think, are the longest tenured now, right? Ralph's been there, but
of the head coaches, yes.
Ralph was an assistant for a long time, and what's cool for folks who don't know, but what's cool about Monterey is you're a Monterey grad, Simon's a Monterey grad, Krista, Monterey grad, and now Chelsea. That's for a 5A school in a town this size. That's pretty cool to have all of you back at your alma mater.
And me and Coach Ramon started together. Our first year, I actually did baseball those first 2 years with him and Coach Metters. So me and Coach Ramon spent a lot of times in a rental car doing road trips for scouting our first year because our baseball team was really good. We went to the regional finals, and so we were always the guys getting sent ahead to scout. And so me and Coach Ramon spent a lot of time driving to El Paso and Dallas and stuff like that, and scouting games and sharing a hotel room for a long time. And he's been a good friend, and I'm proud of what he's been able to do with our program and the baseball tradition that we have.
You're a married man, so I can say this. You had to make sure that you remember who had driven last when you get in the car, because you and Ralph there's a little bit of difference there. You want to make sure you're not.
I hit my knee on the steering wheel a few times getting in, forgetting who had changed the seat and who drove last. And, yep, it happens once or twice.
As much as I love my wife, after 28 years, the few times I still cuss her name is when she doesn't move the seat back and I get in, because there's certain parts that hit certain places and you don't. We
try not to drive each other's cars. We just try to avoid that entirely.
Well, no more marriage advice. Let's talk about basketball, because you guys, I thought that was a big win in a lot of ways. I was thinking if the word nosedive would be the wrong word to use for last year, but it was a 4-game losing streak that you guys couldn't. You played well in some games and couldn't get out of it. You took care of business in that game, and Lubbock Cooper came out and played well.
They did.
And
really good.
I think it was 13-4, 15-4 early, and that's coming after that Amarillo game that was very similar. Your guys, there was some resolve there.
The first quarter was 11-4, and felt like we couldn't even see what the basket was, to get the ball close to it. But then we started the second quarter and went on a 7-0 run and tied it. And that's just the difference, I think, in these seniors and what they've done this year, not only physically but mentally. To be able to say, okay, we're all right, and to not crumble and fold, and not only to not fold right there, but to end up winning by almost 20 after being down 11-4 there in the first, and win the rest of the game by that margin.
Well, not a lot of that had to do with the way you guys played defense. Offense is always going to get more attention because it's fun to watch the ball through that. But they had 11 points in the first quarter. They finished with 35. That's in a 5A basketball game. You're playing some defense to make that happen.
And I hope it travels for us like we've talked about. These guys wanted to be in the playoffs, and, we had that conversation about Offense is always nice. Different gyms are going to have different sight lines, and your night's going to come and go when it's the time to make shots. But defense always travels, and they had 11 there. They only scored 5 in the fourth, which was a big reason for the separation too. But limiting them to one shot, creating turnovers when we had the opportunity, and then capitalizing on the other end.
And you guys, I mentioned you're in a good spot for the playoffs. We'll talk about what you have to do to get in a better spot. You play Paladuro. We'll come back after the break and talk about that, because Paladuro is one of the teams you're chasing. I'm Randy Rosetta, this High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Diving headfirst into Coronado athletics. You're listening to the Mustang Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score on the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back in. This is the Monterey Plainsman Fan Zone. I'm Randy Rosetta. That's Josh Davis to my left. Let me call these standings up to make sure I've got this right. Your district is kind of what people thought it might be. There would be a bottleneck at the top, and there's a real bottleneck right now with Tascosa, Amarillo High, and PD all 11-2. You guys, your 5 losses are to those 3 teams, correct?
1 to Plainview.
4. Okay, you beat who of that group have you?
Paladuro.
You beat Paladuro. That's right, which is timely because you play Paladuro again at home on Friday. Before we went to break, I mentioned that the Plains were in good shape in the playoff hunt. They are 3 games behind that group at 8-5, but they beat Lubbock Cooper. They finished with a sweep against Lubbock Cooper. They could ostensibly finish with the sweep of Paladuro. They'd still have to climb some more, but you always like to have the tiebreaker, regardless if you need it or not. But that getting to 9 wins would get you in pretty good shape, and then you go to Coronado comes to you.
We go to Plainview.
You go to Plainview. So you played. Listen, Monterey, Coronado. We've used the cliche. Don't worry about the records because Coach Scott's going to come up with something to give you guys trouble. And Plainview is the team that beat you. So your guys have plenty of reason to be motivated these next 3 games.
So, I'm glad that our last 3 are what they are, because if we're gonna get in the playoffs and make any noise, everything's got to mean something, and all 3 of these do on the way out. Having a chance to PD move back into the top 25, so have a chance to sweep somebody that last time they were ranked when we played, so have a chance to sweep somebody that's been in the rankings, have a chance to sweep Coronado, which doesn't happen very often, and get that game at home, and then have a chance to avenge a loss with Plainview. So there's always a little something with those 3, and not one where you walk in going, oh my gosh, a lot of bad things could happen for us tonight if we're not focused, that the focus naturally has to be there for us to do things right, and trend the right way heading into the playoffs, hopefully.
What did you and Kanan, last week when I talked to Kanan, and then when I talked, it was Sam Arrington and you, and I don't know if one said it and the other copied him or the other way around, but both of you said our playoffs started against Lubbock Cooper. You can say the playoffs, but you guys' playoffs started 4 games early. They
did, because a loss there puts us out, and by a game and a half, where we're right where we were last year, and we have to win and get help. Where now with the win on Friday, we control our destiny and take things in our own hands, not have to worry about what somebody else does. So that is the playoffs, that things are in your hands, and you've got to do what it takes to get to practice and play again. And that's what we've been talking about is, we want to play in the playoffs, but we want to practice again, which means we get to play again. And that's all it is leading up to that first playoff game, hopefully. But we got a lot of work to take care of between the next week of these 3 games.
Tony Wagner was in here when we were talking about getting Liberty into their district last year, this year, the next 2 years is good for Estacado, because that means they're getting pushed a little bit more in district than they have. You don't have to worry about that in your district, and you're sure not going to have to worry about it the next 2 years.
No.
Your guys know that starting whenever you started district this year, that those 2 games a week, and I imagine Plainview, that got their attention, if nothing else, that you better be ready for 2 games. Has that helped? Now, we were just talking about your guys are older guys, so they're locked in practice anyway, but has that helped even younger guys when they go to practice? Are you getting eye contact?
I think the biggest thing, not that they always think this, but Coach Davis is right. Every once in a while, we've, no matter what district it's been since I've been a part of coaching basketball at Monterey, that nobody goes winless. Somebody, even if they end up at the bottom, they sneak up on somebody at one point one year. It happened to Wiley. They were fighting with us for the district championship and didn't take care of somebody that finished at the bottom, and ended up being the reason that we won district by ourselves and without them having to be a threat anymore. And that only now gets heightened with adding both the friendship schools, that there is no room for error for the next 2 years for any of the 10 of us.
It helps the head coach, but you're the head coach. There's kind of a little bit of respect that's supposed to come with that, right? I would imagine your assistant coaches, when they say something, even the younger guys are like, okay, we got to listen to this adult.
Well, and that's been great now, because Coach Young's been with me all 4 years, now into year 5. So anything I say, they can, hey, is that true? What happened with this? And he was there for all that. And then Coach Hill and Coach Tipton, that were a part of our regional semifinal team, where it was this district with a little bit of a change, but 9 teams getting in like we did, the playoff run, what made things different, focus and execution, and what travel was like and playing different places. So having them to have somebody else to bounce that off of for our guys has been really good too.
I noticed that Coach Young had a very specific assignment with one of your players the other night. I sat close enough to the bench to be able to observe that, and he handled it very well. We'll just leave it at that. Your older guys, I mentioned this, when it hadn't gotten away. Lubbock Cooper was playing well in that first quarter, and they're at home. They're playing with a lot of energy. And I mentioned this to you and to Kane after the game. I'm guessing between quarters, maybe there was a discussion of, do you see how hard Cooper's playing? Do you see how they're getting to every loose ball? And imagine your 3 older guys in particular, 4 older guys, because Chris Owens doesn't get enough credit for what he does. Mm-hmm. I imagine they just had to look at each other and say, okay, that's it. We're going to start getting these loose balls.
Well, and part of it, too, was just seeing the ball go in. It's some natural energy that when it doesn't, it just kind of zaps it out of you. Giving up 11 points in the quarters, that's good defense, too. It wasn't like we were just falling all over ourselves and giving up wide-open layups. But, it's just something about seeing the ball go in that changes things, and being able to still make the hustle plays and execute when it's that quarter, maybe even that whole night, where everything's bouncing out or rimming out, or we can't get things quite open like we're used to. But they really settled down, and we won that next quarter, was it 16-8? So, and then kept going from there. And that's just, the senior leadership that they've been able to carry with them this year, and hopefully impart to these younger guys that'll step into those shoes next year.
That very odd for a Monterey team. You didn't make a 3-pointer in the first half. You missed a couple more in the third quarter, and then all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. Missed a few more, and then fourth quarter, boom, boom, boom. Like those 6 you hit were, maybe a minute and a half total of game time. Just you lit the fuse, and man, it popped.
Well, it's nice to see one go in, and it just kind of reminds everybody that it's possible, that it's not going to be all night. And but once they started being a little more open, a little less contested, everybody kind of fell back into the groove that we've been in this year some, and it was nice to just snap back into that without doing anything special.
4 seniors lead this team, but real quick, J.J. Vaughn, he's grown up all season, but he may have grown up a lot in a few minutes the other night.
Great to see him step up like that and do a lot of other things that don't step up in the stat sheet to get us into that win column Friday night.
He even had to talk to the media afterwards, and he handled that.
Did a great job.
J.J. Vaughn, 6'6" freshman, folks. That's somebody to watch in the future. That wraps us up in the Plains and Fan Zone. We'll be back right after this in the Panther Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.